Good morning, people. Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. And as always, we're back with a massive show for you this morning. But before we jump into that, please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. So on the show today, we are going to be talking about a bit of an injury crisis which is going on at Manchester United at the moment. You couldn't make it up, could you? It's like we're living in a nightmare currently being a Manchester United fan. So we're going to be talking a bit about that. We're also going to be talking a little bit about apparently the left-back position is now a priority. We will be talking about that, of course. We'll be talking about Rasmus Hojlund. It looks like he will be making his debut tomorrow against Nottingham Forest. We've got loads of other bits to get into, but do get involved in the comment section. Do let me know your thoughts on everything we discuss, and I will try and make it as interactive as possible. So let's just hit the nail on the head. Let's go straight in with this injury crisis. So late last night, a story broke from David Ornstein and a couple of other journalists in the UK saying that Luke Shaw has suffered a muscular injury and is expected to be sidelined for an extended period. Obviously, I don't know how long an extended period is, and I don't know how long a muscular injury usually is. Maybe a couple of months. He goes on to say assessments ongoing and hope that the 28-year-old left back will be out for weeks rather than months. So at the moment, they don't know how long he's going to be out for. But I think muscular injuries are ones that you can't bring back too quickly because if you over-aggravate it, it can make it worse. So I would probably say he's going to be out for a month, maybe 2 months. But that's just my guess. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for that. If anybody in the chat knows more about muscular injuries, do feel free to let me know in the comment section. As I always do like to see what you guys have to say on these types of things. One thing I wanted to highlight, which I think is a bit strange, is we've had 2 muscular injuries now in 1 week. Obviously, we had Mason Mount, was it the beginning of this week? Mason Mount's out with a muscular injury, and now Luke Shaw's out with a muscular injury. So we've got 2 muscular injuries in such a short space of time, which seems a little bit unusual. And you know what? I'm going to have to eat my own words here because I don't know if anybody who's been watching the show since we started it about 12 weeks ago will remember me talking about this on a video. And all of you were laughing at me saying, Kieran, why the hell are you talking about Manchester United signing a new doctor? Why are you hyping this up? Like, come on, we should be signing players. We shouldn't be signing doctors. So if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about a month ago, Manchester United recruited Gary O'Driscoll, okay, who was the Arsenal doctor. He was there for about 10 years. He was regarded as one of the best medical doctors in football in the Premier League. Lots of other top clubs were after him. Manchester United got him, and I was saying, well, this could completely change our system. Arsenal didn't get that many injuries last year. Imagine if he comes in and works wonders with Anthony Martial. Imagine if he gets our injury record up to almost nothing. We could have a really, really solid season. This was about a month ago. So obviously this guy's now come in, this Gary O'Driscoll, and I feel for him. I do. I mean, within the space of a week, we've had 2 people out with the same injury, 2 of our starting players. So I don't know. I'm not sure if you can blame that on somebody like that, but I just thought it was funny because I remember I spent about 10 minutes of a show a couple of months ago or a month or so ago talking about this guy and saying I've been researching him and he's one of the best medical doctors in football and all the rest of it. And I saw somebody on Twitter, this was pretty funny. They were saying Arsenal have obviously planted like a double agent in us, you know, to try and weaken us anyway. I just thought that was a bit funny. I'm trying to make a bit of light of a miserable situation. So hopefully you guys can see the funny side in it. We have recruited this specialist doctor, but we're still in an absolute shambles in the injury front. So just a really quick one, just to continue everyone's misery this morning. Our current injury record is this. Tyrell Malacia, unknown. Nobody knows what his injury is. Amad Diallo's a knee injury. Kobe Mainoo ankle. Tom Heaton calf. Mason Mount hamstring. And then Luke Shaw muscular. So at the moment, obviously Rasmus Hojlund back as well. So at the moment, we've got 7 players injured who would be all kind of part of the first team setup. So it's absolutely mental. It really, really is. I honestly don't know how this has happened. I really, really don't. Obviously, I'm not a specialist doctor. My probable opinion on it is just it's an aftermath of last season. Obviously, we played 60, 70 games last season as well as a World Cup. I think obviously they played too many games last season, and the amount of people in the Premier League who are doing their ACLs, all sorts of different really serious injuries have happened in the first couple of weeks of the season. And I do just think it's a result of overplaying these players. So I'm not going to blame this on any particular person because I think this is just, well, I will blame this on people like the FIFA, UEFA, the people who have scheduled a World Cup in the middle of a season. I think this is just a direct result of that. But anyway, let's move on to the future because there's no point dwelling on the injuries. We have the injuries and it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about it now other than hope they come back soon. So As a result of this Luke Shaw injury, which at the moment we don't know how long he's going to be out for, it's just being described as an extended period. So you can decide however long you think that is. I would probably say a month to 2 months. That's my prediction. This morning, Samuel Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News is reporting that Manchester United are now in the market for a left-back on a short-term basis after Luke Shaw suffered a muscular injury. It goes on to say, Shaw is expected to be out for a number of weeks or months, leaving United without a senior left-back. Malacia is also out injured and is sidelined, while Brandon Williams has now joined Ipswich Town. So not only did we lose Brandon Williams yesterday, which I thought was the right decision because he's not good enough to play for Manchester United. So we lose one left back yesterday, and then about 3 hours later they announced that Luke Shaw's injured. So the domino effect worked in the opposite way of how it usually should work. Usually with the domino effect, somebody leaves the club and then you bring somebody in. You know, you bring someone better in. That's usually how it works, isn't it? But in this case, we let go of Brandon Williams, and then about 2 hours later, they announced that Luke Shaw's injured. So Malacia is obviously injured as well. So at the moment, the only actual left-back we have in the club is Alvaro Fernandez, who obviously might be leaving as well. So I would assume that Alvaro Fernandez will now stay at Manchester United. If they loan him out now, that will obviously raise a lot of question marks because he is the only fit left-back we have at this moment in time. Obviously, it is worth noting that Diogo Dalot can play at left-back. So that is good. Obviously, we do have options for the game against Nottingham Forest. It's not a complete crisis. I like Diogo Dalot. I think give him a chance at left back. Why not? The other option that we could explore is maybe Lisandro Martinez at left back. Obviously, he is a left-sided centre back. He's left-footed, so I think him at left back could work quite well. So maybe we try Lisandro Martinez at left back, and maybe Lindelof gets some game time then. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We will be doing our match preview for the game tomorrow later on today, so that'll be a good opportunity for us to all give our thoughts on what the setup will be for the Nottingham Forest game. Luckily, we have a game tomorrow, and then we have Arsenal, and then it's the international break. So the injuries have they've come at the wrong time because we've got two massive games coming up now, but at least we do have the international break where those players can then go and hopefully recover for a couple of weeks when there isn't any game. So fingers crossed they're back for the first game after the international break. But I think Mason Mount, they're saying it's going to be maybe a couple of games after the international break. And I would imagine it'll be the same for Luke Shaw, to be honest. But let me know in the comment section, who do you think would be a good replacement in the left back position? Who would you like to sign? Let me know your thoughts. I would probably go with, obviously someone like Estupiñán from Brighton would be great, but how much would he cost? 100 million? If they sold Cucurella for 50, 60 million, they're probably going to ask for 80 to 100 million for Estupiñán because he is clearly a lot better than Cucurella. But who do you think would be a good option in the left back position? Let me know in the comment section. This has obviously caught me by surprise completely. This story that we're going to now sign a left back has only come out in the last kind of 10 or so minutes. Do you know what's frustrating? Obviously, Benjamin Pavard, if we had have got that deal done, he could have been cover at right back, and then Diogo Dalot could have been the permanent left back, and then we would have had options. So it is frustrating that the Maguire deal didn't happen a couple of weeks ago, and that we didn't bring in Benjamin Pavard, because then this situation wouldn't be as bad as it currently is. We would have had Benjamin Pavard, who can play right back. He could have, been cover for Wan-Bissaka. Diogo Dalot could have moved over to left back, and then you could have had Alvaro Fernandez as the backup, and that would have seen us through until Luke Shaw and Malacia come back, So it is a little bit frustrating, but let me know in the comment section who would be your preferred option at left back. Who would you like to see come in? It will obviously be Dalot against Nottingham Forest on Saturday, but imagine if Dalot gets injured, what happens then? I just think that our whole squad has so many cracks at the moment. Obviously the striker situation, Mason Mount's out, our midfield, our defence now. Like we're literally on the brink of an injury crisis. 7 of our first team players are out injured at the moment. And we've only played 2 games of the season. So if that carries on, if another 2 or 3 players get injured, a Bruno, a Rashford, what happens then? We're really, really in trouble. But hopefully we sort it out. Hopefully it's not Martial. It's probably going to be Martial who gets injured next, isn't it? He'll probably play for 10 minutes against Nottingham Forest and get injured. That's just typical to happen. But a little bit of positivity to bring you all this morning. There's a story coming out this morning saying that Rasmus Hojlund's official Manchester United debut is set to be on Saturday for the home game against Nottingham Forest. So it looks like we will see Hojlund tomorrow against Nottingham Forest. So that is positive. Really, really, really excited to see him play. We're absolutely screaming for a striker at the moment, aren't we? We're desperate for a striker. We are. So hopefully Rasmus Hojlund gets some game time. That is what's been said today. I wouldn't start him personally. I think maybe it's a little bit too soon. I'd probably bring him off the bench maybe in the second half, but obviously it's up to Erik ten Hag. If he thinks he's fit enough to start, then great, start him. But imagine if he gets injured again. Like, we just can't deal with another injury in those positions. Now, there was something I wanted to throw out into the chat really, really quickly on the left-back situation. How would you feel about Antony at left-back? Now, obviously, you're probably thinking, what the hell is this guy talking about? But maybe it could work. Maybe Antony as a left-back could work, especially if it's more of an inverted left-back who's actually pushing forward more as a kind of left wing-back type role. I think it could work. I would be open to it. Obviously, he's left-footed. Maybe that could be an option, but let me know in the comment section what you think about that one. Would you be open to seeing Antony play at left back, or do you think that would just be a bit stupid? I think it could work, but obviously that was just a little thought that came to my head just then. So yeah, right. Let's move on to the next story though. Let's talk a little bit about Pellistri. So there's a story coming out this morning saying that apparently Pellistri's exit is on hold at the moment, and it now looks like there's a strong chance that Pellistri could stay at Manchester United with him being needed this season. So that is really, really good news. Obviously, Pellistri is on the brink of signing a new contract at Manchester United, which is positive because I think he's a solid player. It looked like he was going to be loaned out to Sheffield United in the Premier League, but the report that's coming to this morning is saying that Manchester United are now considering keeping him and not letting him leave on loan, which I think is 100% the right decision. It is. A lot of you are saying, I want Pellistri to start over Antony. Okay, that's your opinion. I don't disagree. I think he deserves a chance. If you loan out Pellistri and Ahmad's injured as well, what happens if Antony gets injured then? You know? Most of you in the chat are already on Antony's back, but say he gets injured as well, and then all you have in the right back position is Sancho, and that's it. In the right wing position. It could get even worse. So I hope that Manchester United are learning from this current injury crisis and they keep those players on the books. Because we're, 2 games into the season and we've already lost 7 players through injury for extended periods. It's not like it's a one-day injury. Mainu's out for 2 months. Malacia, we don't know. Ahmad's out for 2 months. You get the picture here. These people are out for an extended period of time. So loaning out Pellistri seems absolutely ridiculous to me personally. So I am glad that Manchester United seem to have come to their senses and that he will be getting some game time, because some of you in the chat would even say he should be starting against Nottingham Forest on Saturday, and I wouldn't disagree with you. I think he deserves a chance. I think he deserves a chance just as much as Antony does. So hopefully the story that comes out this morning materialises and he does end up staying at Manchester United for this season, because I think a loan move would be wasted on him. I get Sheffield United. A Premier League loan would be great for the players' experience, but at the end of the day, we're the ones paying these players. There are employees, whatever you want to call them, assets, whatever you want to call these players. They play for Manchester United and we need them. We need these players. So I appreciate him going and playing for Sheffield United every single week in the Premier League. Might be better for his career development. But unfortunately, with our current situation with these injuries, his career development's going to have to just wait a little bit, I think, because we need him. And hopefully Erik ten Hag says that to him, and I'm sure he has. And hopefully he actually gives him game time. He doesn't keep him and then just stick him on the bench, because then I just think it's a waste, you know? But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Do you think Pellistri should go out on loan, or are you happy that it looks like he will be staying for this season? For me, it's a definite positive. We've got over 900 people watching the show this morning, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who is here. Please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. Where are we? Yeah, we're only 20 subscribers away from 5,300, so let's see if we can hit that by the end of the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. It doesn't cost any money, it's completely free, so do get involved. Right. Now, this one was a little bit of a funny one that I wanted to throw out there. So, obviously, we spoke about Ivan Toney on the show a couple of days ago. There was a story going around that Manchester United was set to make a bid for Ivan Toney in January. Obviously, he's banned from football until January. So nobody can sign him now because he can't play football. But the Manchester United were interested in bringing him to the club in January. Right. There's a story coming out this morning saying that apparently Ivan Toney has been valued at £80 million by Brentford as they brace themselves for bids in January. 80 million for Ivan Toney. It just shows you how crazy football's gone, isn't it? And this was coming out from a good journalist in the UK as well, who gets good information from well-briefed sources. 27 years of age, hasn't even played football for 6 months, maybe a bit longer now. And they're saying they want £80 million for him. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, isn't it? You know what, though? When Manchester United spent 65, was it, on Rasmus Hojlund, pounds? They opened the door to these types of things, didn't they? No wonder that no wonder that they want 80 million for him. I think Chelsea are interested. Obviously, Manchester United are interested. Arsenal interested. All of these clubs have paid bigger fees for players with way less goal-scoring records. So, you know, Arsenal paid, 80 million for Pepe. Manchester United paid 60 million for Rasmus Hojlund. Like, I can see why they're asking for 80 million, but obviously that's just ridiculous. If Manchester United paid anything near that, I think that would be crazy. But let me know in the comment section what you think about that. Would you even want Ivan Toney at Manchester United? And if you did, how much do you think would be a fair price for him? Obviously, he is 27, so he's in his prime right now. He's got 2 years left on his contract. I would probably say somewhere like 40 million at the very, very tops. I think anything more than that is too much for me personally. I know he got a lot of goals last season in the Premier League, but I don't know. I just think it's too much for me. But let me know what you guys think, as I always like to see what you guys have to say on these topics. Right, where are we? Right, there's a bit of a story coming out about Harry Maguire as well, which I wanted to bring you this morning. So there's a story this morning saying that apparently the offer for Harry Maguire is still on the table from West Ham, because it looks like, again, I tried to pronounce this guy's name yesterday and I probably butchered it. Naif Agurd. So it looks like he's leaving West Ham, 27-year-old Moroccan centre-back. And obviously, if he leaves, then West Ham would need another centre-back. And it goes on to say that Manchester United offered £6 million in payoff to Harry Maguire, as we all know. But Harry Maguire reportedly wants £12 million to accept the transfer to West Ham. It goes on to say that Manchester United are still negotiating with his agents and are willing to pay him now £9 million to leave, but there is still no answer from his agents. It is believed that they will accept this offer from Manchester United. So just to give you a bit of a recap on that whole situation, Manchester United offered £6 million to pay off Harry Maguire effectively, right? That was to cover his difference in wages from what he'd earn at Manchester United versus what he would earn at West Ham. There's about 100k a week difference in wages. Manchester United are willing to go up to £9 million in payoff now. The total amount of difference is 12 million. So whether this gets this deal done, I'm not sure. I think it might. Quite a few other journalists yesterday came out saying that Harry Maguire to West Ham is one to keep an eye on. That they do think he's going to leave in this window. Obviously, he didn't play. He wasn't even on the bench in the game against Tottenham. It'll be interesting to see what Erik ten Hag has to say at lunchtime when we do our press conference reaction, to see whether he will be in the squad for tomorrow. But I do think that he will go. I do. And I do think that we'll bring in a replacement. And I think that'll be Jean-Claire Todibo. Obviously, we spoke about him at length on the show yesterday. And there is reports coming out from multiple different French outlets in the last 24 hours saying that Jean-Claire Todibo's move to Manchester United is in sight, despite Harry Maguire not leaving the club. And then we have other journalists saying Erik ten Hag has set his sights on Nice defender Jean-Claire Todibo ahead of the transfer deadline, with talks over a deal believed to now be in motion. So it seems that Manchester United are negotiating with Nice over the deal for Jean-Claire Todibo, obviously as the replacement for Harry Maguire. And I just have this feeling in the last week, we've got 1 week left of the transfer window. It closes a week today. I think that this deal will happen. I think Harry Maguire will go. We've been linked to Jean-Claire Todibo all summer. We've already agreed personal terms. He wants to come to Manchester United. Things can happen in the last week. And as I said to you guys on the show last night, Manchester United usually do quite a lot of business in the last kind of week or days of the window. They're quite reactionary. We've just had a left back injured. Maybe they say, right, let's play Luke Shaw at left. Let's play Martinez at left back. Let's bring in Jean-Claire Todibo. And do you see what I mean? Things can happen quite quickly in football. All it takes is a couple of injuries. And, last night our priority was a striker, apparently. This morning, Manchester Evening News are saying that left back's now our priority. Purely just on the fact that, Luke Shaw's got an injury. So things do move quickly in football. And I do still have hope that Manchester United will get a couple more deals done in the next window. Not because they want to. Let me just be very clear. If it was up to the Glazers right now, they would close the transfer window and they would stop. They would not do any more big deals. The only reason that they'll do deals is because they're forced into it, because of injuries, because of selling players in other positions. That's the only reason why they'll get deals done, I think. But yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Do you think Jean-Claire Todibo will come in the last week of the window, or do you think he's a player that we just simply will not sign? I still feel confident about that one, and I still do think he will join Manchester United. Right, let's have a look what else we've got. In relation to Amrabat, there's people in the chat asking about Amrabat. So Amrabat is not training with the first team at Fiorentina at the moment. The CEO of Fiorentina has come out saying that Sofian Amrabat is not working with the squad, but we have still not received any official bids for him this summer. It goes on to say that if there are any players who are unhappy here, we can start considering bids for them, of course. So Amrabat's pushing for the move. We all know that. We've been talking about that for the last 2 months. He's pushing for the move. He's now not training with the team. He didn't go to the Europa Conference League qualifier last night against Rapid Vienna. He wants to come to Manchester United. It's just whether Manchester United can remove one of the other midfielders. We're being told that it needs to be either McTominay or Donny van de Beek. I think at this point, it looks more likely that McTominay will go. I genuinely do. I think McTominay looks way more likely to leave than Donny van de Beek because we already have a club interested in McTominay. We know that West Ham want McTominay, whereas Donny van de Beek, we've been negotiating for months and months and months and months, right? And nothing has happened. Absolutely nothing has happened. It's been a loan. It's been a loan with an option to buy. It's been a permanent transfer. It's been, they're not interested anymore. I just can't see Donny going anywhere unless it's like in the last day of the window, somebody has an injury and desperately needs a player. Maybe somebody takes him on loan, but I don't think we're going to get rid of Donny in enough time for us to bring in Amrabat. So I think they need to be focusing on Scott McTominay. But obviously with the injury of Mason Mount, does that now change the dynamics of things? Do Manchester United now sit there and say, well, we've lost Mason Mount, we've lost Kobe Mainoo, we now need to keep Scott McTominay? That is a possibility, and maybe Amrabat doesn't come. Things happen like this in football. Things change. The priorities can change. At the beginning of the season, they had Kobe Mainoo and they had Mason Mount. Now they don't have either of them. So I don't know. I'm not sure. The only thing I will say, if I'd have known a month ago that this would have all happened, obviously this is hypothetical, but I would have just kept Fred for the time being. Like, we actually need Fred now. We really, really do, don't we? But yeah, it is a frustrating position to be in at the moment. But let's just hope that over the next week, we have 1 week left of the window. Let's hope we bring in the players we need in those positions. We need a left back now to replace Malacia and Luke Shaw, who are injured. We need a striker. We need a midfielder. Those are kind of, and a goalkeeper. So we need like 3 or 4 signings. And that's not me being greedy. That's just for us to be able to field a decent team. Like, that's not, I'm not saying if we get 3 or 4 signings, we're going to win the Champions League. Like, nowhere near it, you know? So there's a lot of work that needs doing, and hopefully Manchester United, get themselves into gear and just get this done, because otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen, you know? We're 1 or 2 injuries away from our first team. Say Casemiro and Rashford get injured, you're literally in a crisis then. You're going back to playing McTominay, Eriksen. You've probably got, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's going to be really, really bad, really, really quickly. So, yeah, it is a frustrating situation, but let's just try and let's just hope that Manchester United are acting quickly. They're probably not, but let's just keep our fingers crossed. Right, I'm going to wrap the show up there, guys, today. It was just a short one because, there's not a lot of stuff going on at the moment, as you all know, and I don't want to go back over old ground. So thank you so much to everybody who's watched the show this morning. We will be back with a couple of videos throughout the day, so do make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, and we will be back at 6 p.m. for our usual live video. I hope everyone has a nice day, morning or evening, wherever you are in the world, and I'll speak to you all later.